Hello, my name is Muhammad Hamza Suhail, and today we will be talking about how nuclear fission works. So imagine an element, and inside that element, think of this element as a brick, and inside that brick there are even smaller bricks. Now inside that brick there is a tiny football. Think of that tiny dot as a football. And inside that football it constitutes of even smaller particles called protons and neutrons. The protons being positively charged and the neutrons having no charge. And around this football there is a cloud of electrons whizzing around it. So and the protons and neutrons are held together by the strong nuclear force. Think of this as a football, and inside the football the air which is being held by the football being the strong nuclear force. So what happens is, as we go down the periodic table, the mass number of the elements of the amount of these small particles increases. For instance, uranium has the mass number of 235, which means that there are 235 protons and neutrons inside it. And what really happens is, in this football, the positively charged protons, they start to repel. And what the repulsion does is that the strong nuclear force which binds the whole football, it becomes unstable. The nucleus becomes unstable, and the nucleus wants to form stable products. So how does this is it forms daughter nuclei. We can think of this as the larger football trying to form smaller footballs. And in the process, the smaller football also gives out a little bit of air, which we would say the radiations and small amounts of energy. So what scientists thought was how they could expedite the whole process in a very short amount, like how they could expedite the whole process in the fractions of nanoseconds. And what they thought was what would happen if we would bombard the football, which being the nucleus, with neutrons. These are even smaller particles. And so you can think of the football being hit by a needle. And you know what happens when you hit the football with a needle? It bursts. And when it bursts, it forms daughter nuclei, and a lot of energy is released in the process. And with that, even smaller neutron particles are released. So for example, when the football is being hit by the needle, it forms smaller footballs, and in the process it also gives out 3 neutrons. Now what these 3 neutrons does essentially is that it hits other particles, and that causes a chain of reactions to happen through which scientists create energy. So how do they control the whole process? Is that scientists thought of putting up a boron rod inside it. The boron rod serves as a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's job is to take hold of these particles, and so that a controlled reaction takes place, that it doesn't exponentially increase the reaction and begins hitting so many particles that a catastrophe happens. Through lowering these boron rods, stable and form of energy is produced.